Good evening, everybody, and welcome along to Spa for the Formula Sim the FS2 Championship, not the Formula Sim Racing. That's a very different league. I apologise. It's GPVWC on a Tuesday night, and that means it is Formula Sprint 2. We're here from Spa as Real F1 heads to the summer break, we go straight from Hungary over to Belgium. Well, there was some great racing here in the real world over the weekend, and I'm sure these Formula 3 style cars will deliver us some great racing here this evening as well. I am Tom Dillon, and joining me today for the first time in the commentary box, I believe actually, is Toby Davis. And Toby, should be a pretty exciting race around Spa, a track where usually it's pretty much an overtake fest.
Thanks, Tom. I'm very pleased to be here. It's probably my favourite track. Raced here myself in 2016, 2018 in the VW Cup, and as you say, it is usually a slipstream fest. First and third sectors are indeed all about the top speed. The middle sector, 52 seconds long, it's all about downforce. And the overall lap time may be better with more wing, as the middle sector is extremely long. But it's whether that setup is raceable, and there is a decision to be made for the drivers tonight. And who's going to go with top speed and who's going to go with that downforce for the middle sector.
Absolutely, and you always do see the two schools of thought at Spa, and it can often create some interesting racing actually, as people tend to be faster in the middle sector than trying to hound for overtakes heading into the second sector. In qualifying though, it's a little bit different, just all about whether you can be fast over the whole lap. Stephen Lexo is heading through for his outlap, just through the bus stop chicane. It can be a very, very difficult corner, that one, as the car can almost bottom out on you. Heading on for his first flying lap of the evening still. And Stephen Lexo not having the greatest of seasons recently. He's not driving poorly himself, he's just finding himself stuck with a fair few issues. He's been taken out a few times, had a few spins that weren't really his fault, and it's just been a bit of a frustrating time for him. But looking to make amends here, still well in the constructors' standings. Red Ven, they're 3 points off. Heading down into Lacon, DRS wide open for the number 55. So interesting to spot where he brakes just before the 50-metre board, down to third gear, using the curb on both of the corners, and then just letting the car open up, heading down into the right-hander off camber. Keep the car in, keep it early, and then ease on the throttle out, heading into Speaker's corner. Just a dab, and then down into Puon, Toby.
This double left-hander, one of my favourite corners. It's all about commitment on the first part, and you let it run out wide onto the outside curb, as Stephen did nicely there. Easy flat through the second part. And then we head into Fania, and this is a very tricky corner to get right, because you're sort of setting yourself up for the left-hander. He hugs the apex tightly and gets it through that left-hander nicely, lets it run wide onto the grasscrete on the outside. And Stavolo, all about the exit into sector 3. So we've just navigated the tricky high downforce sector 2, and now he's got the straight line speed through up into Blanchimont and towards the bus stop chicane to complete his lap. And he is currently purple, obviously no competitive times, but he was P2 in practice. Teammate Ruben Macheda, returning from his holiday in Netherlands, he topped practice actually, so Red Ven looking strong here.
Down into the bus stop chicane then. First gear, just ease on through, an easy place to lose your lap. We've seen a few moments like that in esports over the years. It's going to be a 2:05.0. How competitive that is, we're not too sure. It seems to be fairly competitive, as Ruben Machede, Jack Mayo, and everyone setting a flurry of lap times can't quite equal it. So Stephen Lexo with a very, very strong lap early on in the session, as we see Caitlin Penny heading through sector 3. Not particularly threatening pole position, but definitely hoping for a haul of points today, Caitlin. And there should be carnage down into La Source, so she can make up a few positions there as well. 17th position on her first lap.
What's interesting is there is that diversity in straight line speed. Red Ven have very, very strong straight line speed, as does Jerry Van Bussel, who is P2 in the academy car, one to watch out for potentially. Jack Mayer and Tom Ely both been competitive in practice, and you can't count out Jack Mayer. He's experience counts for a lot, and Jack has a lot of experience, so we'll watch out for him as well. He's currently sitting in P5.
We see Dominic Sabon for TOP Esports heading through Blanchimont completely flat in no matter what car you're in these days for Blanchimont. And looking pretty decent at the moment. perhaps threatening the top 15. Just a little bit faster than Caitlin Penny across the line. What's it going to be for Dominic Slavon? 206.7, so 19th position in the end. As we see Dan Huss started the season without a seat, of course, and then managed to find one after some impressive performances in Academy. He's been driving for VMS Sun Edits recently, and he's been going along fairly nicely there. We'll see if he's able to continue that, heading through the final corner. We haven't seen any major dramas there at the moment, which I'm finding quite impressive. Toby, as Dan Hook comes across the line and will go 17th.
Very easy to lock the brakes into that bus stop chicane. Luke Mitchell's purple through the middle sector, but he did miss that first apex in the bus stop. Is this going to be good enough to improve his lap time and his position? Yes, he goes to P2. So a green final sector for him. He did lose a bit, I suspect, in the first corner. It is literally only La Source that you have to worry about in these cars. Eau Rouge, easy, flat, pretty much regardless of what wing level you're running. Singleton is 5/10, almost 5/10 down through the middle sector, but has gone green, and he's currently in P16 looking to improve.
He should improve. Target time of 2:05.0. 4 attempts off in the second sector, but he thinks against it and goes into the pits in the end. Kenny Singleton.
What's interesting to me, they've done 2 flying laps on the bounce, a lot of the drivers, and then boxed. So perhaps it's one of those where the second lap is still useful. A couple of these drivers finding time on that second flying lap as well. So certainly something to look out for here. A lot of people abandoning as they come through. Slavon here, I suspect, is on an in lap, even though he has gone green. He's where is he right now? 21st position. He might be going to complete this lap. This will be an interesting one to see if he does or not. Proving or disproving my point about 2 flying laps. Here he comes through the end of the lap now and coming across the line, hopefully to improve his lap time, and he does. P14.
The tyres do seem to be in a nice spot in Formula Sprint 2, where they have the ability to go for a couple of laps, and obviously they do the entire race on a single set of tyres. Absolutely no problem at all. We have seen a couple of tracks, of course, where there's been an ever so slight issue, but most of the time they're pretty comfortable to the end.
Interesting, because it's such a long lap though, Tom. It's 2 minutes long. I didn't anticipate that they'd get 2 flying laps out of them, but clearly they are managing that.
Well, I believe that in this mod the tyres are labelled as hard, so they're definitely a durable compound, and it would make sense that they're able to do the couple of laps on it. Whether they're still in the total window for optimal pace, I don't know, or maybe they take a couple of laps to get up to temperature. I'm not too sure. As Lillian Hilliard is going to come across the line to see if she can improve, and it's going to be 24th position.
Luke Mitchell in the garage at the moment. He's waiting for the track to improve a little before he goes on to his final run. There is a little bit of that to work out as well. You don't want to go too early. The track does improve. It does ramp up through the session as the drivers go around and lay down rubber on the track. And he's exiting the pits now. Lexo also coming through sector 1 now, so he is potentially, in fact, he goes purple, so he's potentially looking to get a run in early and potentially box and go out again with 5 minutes left on the clock. There is enough time for him to do that, so he's looking good right now. Stephen Lexo currently P1 by over 1/10 of a second from Luke Mitchell.
It's Ruben Machete, I apologise, not Tom Healy. Tom Healy's down in 6th, Ruben Machete in 5th. Ruben has gone fastest in the first sector to the tune of about 1/10 on his teammate. So an impressive lap from Lexo though, as he heads through P1, keeps the car nice and planted. You can see the sparks from this relatively new R-Factor 2 build spitting out of the rear of the car and out towards the rear end, heading into Campus Corner.
It's been very tidy so far, very, very tidy lap so far. He's improving as well, so he's gone green in terms of his own personal best, but purple on his own lap time. Therefore he is looking to improve, coming into the final chicane now. He's just got to keep it tidy on the brakes, get it nice and tight to the first apex. You can use the curb on the inside to hook you around the corner. He does that beautifully. Look at the way the back end rotated as he comes out of the final corner now, and he's going to cross the line. This will be the first 4 of the session. Oh, it's not. It's just about 5-0. Macheda, though, can improve, and he crosses the line, and look at that. Almost exactly the same lap time as his teammate, but goes P2. So our former championship leader, he trying to bounce back after his holiday, looking pretty good. P1 and P2 for Red Van.
I suspect that actually that rotation you spoke about with Lexo there actually cost him a little bit of lap time. He went yellow in the final sector. I feel there was ever so slightly just a little bit too much rotation to the point where the back end was actually just ever so slightly getting away from him, as we see Luca Tisano. And he is green in the first sector, so improving on his 22nd position. And as we said, due to the nature of Spa, a lot of these drivers that aren't particularly pushing for top 10 finishes, they've got the opportunity to try and do that, around this circuit, purely because it's so long and there's so much opportunity to overtake. And that's what the people like Tizano, maybe Van der Smissen and Singleton, that's what they'll probably be thinking about as they head on into these 2 races. Of course, the reverse grid as well probably doesn't play into their hands. It should be relatively routine, if it can be, for some of the likes of Lexo and Machede and Mitchell to cut their way through the field. But particularly in race 1, there's a lot of positions to be made up relatively easily. Hayek is in sector 3 and he's improving a little bit on his current lap time. Yellow in sector 2, yellow in sector 1, green in sector 2. Heading through the final corner, he's going to come into the pits.
Looking down the field now, where Tom Ely's on an outlap. He's in P7 doing a very good job there, but Van Bussel in P4 I'm impressed by. A great lap time that, and he is also on an outlap looking to improve his lap time. Jack Mayer just setting himself up for this fastest lap. You can go for this qualifying lap, you can go really wide on the entry to the pit straight there and get a slightly better run onto it. Very clever from Jack, using that experience. As the other Jack Nichols, crosses the line and he improves to P6. So that's a big improvement for him. That's right up there for him. Scott Mitchell, his teammate, is unfortunately not in the server. I don't know if he's going to be able to make it for any qualifying laps. Craig Patterson moving down from FS1. He is purple and then green. This could be close. Not so good in the last corners though. Lost the rear end a little. So he's P12.
Kenny Singleton looking to either finish a qualifying lap or start a next one. In fact, he's going to come into the pits, and I believe if he escapes, that's him done for the session, isn't it, Kenny Singleton? Throwing the towel into the ring as Jack Mayer is heading on through. Purple in the first sector.
Mitchell has put it on provisional pole as we speak. 2:04.895 is a top lap time from him. He usurps Lexo and Macheda, who are both in the pits, so they will not improve. So looks like Luke Mitchell, championship leader, once again putting himself at the top of the timesheets. Jack Mayer, though, has something to say about that, and he's coming into the tricky right-left here. He's got to keep it nice and tight, nice and tidy, stay on that rubber line, and don't let it run too wide. There is a track limits penalty there. And then as he comes into the right-hander here at Stavolo, and he has set a green sector, but he is 5/10 away currently. So he has some work to do in this final sector, and if he's going to improve his grid position, but he is 7/10 off, so he could still get there and get right in amongst the top 2 rows of the grid.
Have an opportunity as well, could Jack Mayer, to get another lap in here. 10 seconds to go, so he'll be right on the bubble as he crosses the line. Is this lap going to be good enough, I wonder, from Jack Mayer? It's not. He's going to improve, but I don't think he's going to improve enough. As we see Luke Mitchell, similar story, though he's right on the bubble in sector 2. Really, really close indeed. Lexo and Machete into the pits. They won't be partaking in this qualifying session any further. Can Luke Mitchell extend his pole position lap time? He certainly cannot. Just about. He was purple in the first and final sectors, but that yellow sector 2 just cost him there.
Very competitive 2 laps there from Luke, though. Only 5,000 slower, so both of those lap times good enough for first. Contaguris coming through the final couple of corners now. There's not many drivers left on track who can improve, although Jack Mayer's just done his best first sector. He is probably the only driver I would say left as Contaguris goes up to 9th who can potentially get pole position away from Luke Mitchell, and Jack is coming through that middle sector now, where he's the 51-second middle sector, so he's got a long sector to maybe make some time up. Slabon, as we come through Blanchimont here, absolutely flat to the floor, is set 2 green sectors as well. So as he comes into the bus stop chicane, he's looking to improve his position and potentially help Jack Mayer in that top esports team.
Labon, he's going to cross the line then. And is he going to bump up into the top 15? He's not. He's going to improve to 18th, however, so not the worst pace in the world. And what can Jack Mayer do? He's green again in the second sector as Michael Tuamala is going to come across the line. I don't think this will be an improvement given how far off he is in the second sector. In fact, it is. It's going to be a pretty big improvement. Up into 6th position with a purple final sector. Here is Jack Mayer then. A very important final sector here, though he needs quite a great deal of lap time. Probably not going to be for Jack Mayer, but we've seen stranger thing happen. Heading through the bus stop chicane. Looks pretty clean and now crossing the line. Is it going to be enough for Jack Mayer? It's not, but he is going to jump to 4th just ahead of Jerry Van Bussel. So I think he'll be just about pleased with that. That middle sector perhaps not quite working for him. Maybe that's a symptom of running a little bit less downforce.
Absolutely. I think that's absolutely the case. He's got a couple of kilometers per hour on Luke Mitchell, who did end up taking that pole position. So very impressive from Luke. Lexo Macheda in Redven, 2nd and 3rd, and Jack Mayer in P5. But Van Bussel, very impressed with. And what do you think, Tom? Do you think he can throw the cat amongst the pigeons in race 1 this time?
Certainly, I think we'll see the GPVWC Academy driver right up there. So to quickly run you through the results then is the formality. Luke Mitchell is on pole position, the championship leader. Stephen Lexo in 2nd position for Red Ven Racing, with Ruben Machete starting 3rd, looking to get a haul of points on Luke Mitchell after missing the previous round. Jack Mayer starts in 4th position with Sherry Van Bussel in 5th. Michael Tuamala starts 6th and Jack Nichols starts in 7th. Massimiliano Rubili starts in 8th position for Alpha Sierra Sim Racing, with Tom Ely starting in 9th, and it's Sotiris Contagodoris in 10th position. As for the second half of the grid, it's Alex Lehoux, then Loic Mugne from Maxime Bilou, then Kenny Singleton starts 14th for Team RNG. Craig Patterston starts 15th, and Florian Husse in 16th. Justin van der Smissen starts 17th, with Dominic Slabod in 18th. Saver Pasanenko starts 19th, with Tommy Cuvier in 20th. And then to round out the grid, Jarno Herman starts in 21st for VMS Sun Edits Racing. His teammate Dan Hutt starts alongside him in 22nd. Luca Tizzano starts in 23rd, with Caitlin Penny in 24th. Lillian Hilliard starts in 25th position, with Dan Hayek in 26th. And then Mikhailo Vifin Tuvik starts in 27th position. Then Scott Morris starts in 28th. Orlean Christen in 29th. And Ali Pollock in 30th, not setting a lap time. And so, with that being the grid, we've got a warm-up session ahead of us now. So we're going to jump to a quick break, and we'll see you in about 10 minutes' time for the start of this race here in Spa. Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome back to Spa. We've just got to the end of the warm-up session here, and we're ready for race 1 in the GPVWC Formula Sprint 2, round 11 here at Spa. Really into the back end of the season now. I'm Tom Dillon. Alongside me once again is Toby Davis. And Toby, really, they've got to be thinking about championship points now, haven't they? Because the championship battle at the front of the field between Mitchell, Machede and Mayer is really, really hotting up.
Absolutely. It is those three, you would say, for the championship, unless something spectacular happens at the back end of the season from a driver such as Lexo or Scott Mitchell, the elder Mitchell, then you have to say it is a 3-horse race right now. Macheda, 5 points back, looking to recover that championship lead he lost to Luke. He's been probably the star of the season so far. Luke has been picking up very respectable results around Macheda, but Reuven does seem to have the pace, although here, of course, Luke's on pole. So it's going to be very interesting as we head into race 1. And those three in the top 4 on the grid as well, with Stephen Lexo sort of in the mix too. So going to be an interesting start, this one, and it's going to be an interesting run down into the last horse. A very short run here. and it's all about the exit onto the straight heading up to Eau Rouge over Radion and towards the Les Combes chicane. That's all they've got to think about on lap 1, that run, and making sure if you're Luke, you're defending that position into the middle sector.
So after here, we go to Italy, Singapore, Japan, Mexico, and finally Brazil. So 5 rounds left after this one, which means that there's plenty of opportunities. I apologise, just knocked my mic because I took my hand off my mouse there. But there's plenty of opportunity for these drivers to get some very good positions indeed, and there'll be some huge battles as well, I am sure. Brazil at the end of the season should be a huge race for all of the various championship permutations that we may have, and I suspect that unless something dramatic happens towards the back end of the season here, that we are going to go down to Brazil. Anyway, they're off here for the formation lap, and I believe we're going to get the starting order in a moment. If you'd like to run us through that, Toby.
Yeah, absolutely. So Luke Mitchell took pole position from Stephen Lexo, both very competitive in practice. No surprises there, really. Ruben Macheda and Jack Mayer, P3 and P4. So Red Ven, 2 cars in those front 2 rows. Joey Van Bussel, we were talking about him in qualifying. Very good qualifying for him. Tuamala, Jack Nichols and Riboli, 6th, 7th and 8th on the grid. P9, Contagoris, we saw him complete his lap time move up into P9 with Alex Lahoe alongside him. Maxime Bowley alongside Kenneth Singleton. Craig Patterson dropping down from FS1. He is at Belgium in FS2 for the first time. Haase alongside him with Dominic Slarbon and Seva Panasenko. Tommy Koivunen would be disappointed a little bit with his qualifying position down in 17th alongside Jarno Hermans, Dan Hutt and Luca Tizzano 19th and 20th. Caitlin Penny 21st for Downforce Electric Racing alongside Lilian Hilliare, Dan Hayek and Vicentijevic in 23rd and 24th. Scott Morris alongside Grisson in 25th and 26th. Ali Pollock and Justin van der Smissen in 27th and 28th positions. We have Loic Mounier, Tom Ely, who's in P30, obviously had some sort of penalty to be down in 30th position, and Scott Mitchell will be starting from the pit lane. He has made the server, but didn't set a lap time in qualifying, so he has to start from the pit lane.
I wonder how he's going to do from there. Scott Mitchell, heaps of pace, but the question is he going to be able to cut through the field as he would like? You'd suspect that in the first few laps here he's just going to try and, you know, get the hammer down, catch up to the back of the field and then go from there. But you do wonder, perhaps running as well, in fact they'll all be running as light a fuel load as they physically can, won't they? So a bit of a mute point. But Luke Mitchell heading through Blanchimont now, ready for a start and a race that could in theory give him a little bit of breathing room in this championship and start to let the momentum swing his way ever so slightly.
Absolutely, he's got to get off the line well. We've seen good starts from various people this season. Jack Mayer historically has had very good starts as well, so watch out for him into T1. But it's all about that exit from La Source, and if Luke gets off the line well and gets a good run out of La Source and holds on to the lead, then he has to be favourite. Watch out for Ely and Scott Mitchell from the back of the grid, see if they can make their way through the field. And Jack Nichols as well, P7, historically does quite well here. So a couple of names there to look out for as they start lining up on the grid.
Here we go then, just the rear of the field, snaking on through the bus stop chicane. A couple of burnouts and things to get yourself ready for a start of a race that is usually one of the most enjoyable of the season at Spa. Tom Ely actually not looking lined up very well in his grid box, but I'm sure it'll be okay. As you see Scott Mitchell poised at the end of the pit lane. As here we go then. Wait for the lights. Luke Mitchell on pole position, has the inside line down into La Source. Go to 5 red lights. And it is lights out and away we go in Spa, and it looks like a relatively poor start from Luke Mitchell actually, as he's going to be challenged down into turn 1. Jack Mayer gets the good start that we expected around the outside of Stephen Lexo. Ruben Macheda, I apologise, down into turn 1, not quite able to make a move on that particular occasion. There is line of stern at the front. Here is a move a little bit further down the field, heading into Eau Rouge. Is there going to be a move for the lead? There is going to be a move for the lead up Eau Rouge, and that was brave from Stephen Lexo, and he's just about got it and made it into Eau Rouge. Down the Kemmel Straight they go, as you see, heading down into Lake Cum. There's been a huge mistake actually from Luke Mitchell, who's fallen well down the order. It's going to be 3-4 wide almost down into Lake Cum. The Academy car is trying to get in the way. Luke Mitchell is almost spun around and he's down into 5th position. And now Ruben Machete leading the race from his teammate Stephen Lexo. Jack Mayer in 3rd position, Jerry Van Bussel in 4th, and Luke Mitchell somehow going from leading them away out of turn 1 down into Eau Rouge into 5th as they head out of the Lake Cum chicane and down into Speaker's Corner.
My fear for Luke was he was a few kilometres an hour down in qualifying on the guys around him, and he did seem to lose a lot of straight line speed, a lot of track position through Eau Rouge and into Lake Cum. So P5 not ideal at all for Luke. He's got a lot of work to do from there, but great start there from the Red Ven boys. And Machida went by quite easily on Lexo, so that must have been a bit of team orders there going on. Machida trying to recover that championship position, but Mitchell with it all to do from there.
Here's Florian Hasse trying to go for a move. He's managed to get it into 16th position. Not the most conventional place to be defending, but he's managed to hold on to the position regardless. Here's Luke Mitchell trying to make up that ground. You can see the pace we expected him to have down into Sector 2, heading through Blanchimont. Has he got the extra downforce to try and make a move down into the bus stop chicane? Is he going to go inside or outside? He chooses to go outside and around the outside. Has he got the better braking performance? It's just a little bit weirdly cambered corner, and Luke Mitchell's round. Luke Mitchell goes round, and he's all the way down into 15th position now. He's fighting for points, let alone the race win.
An absolute nightmare for Luke. That couldn't be worse for him, that lap 1, and he's just got to settle down, get his head into the right head space and just crack on with this race, put the lap times that he knows he can do in and make up the ground that way, and think about race 2 from here. At this early stage he will be thinking about race 2. Jack Mayer has got a great run here on Lexo as we head down towards Lake Cum. Obviously no DRS just yet, so Mayer's just doing this on straight line speed alone. Machida has gapped the front at the front. He's got over DRS range, but here comes Mayer around the outside and he swoops in front of Lexo, braking on that rubber, and he is able to take P2, and they're 3 wide further back. Singleton has to back out of that one on the inside as well.
Any Singleton in 11th position going along.
Oh, Mitchell's had a huge crash. Luke Mitchell.
Oh, no,
wow.
Oh, that is quite spectacular indeed. And there's 4, 5, in fact about 8 cars off. There's even a few more remonstrations at the back as well. Luke Mitchell's still going somehow with that rear wing, and he's driving surprisingly well. He's got a Formula 4 car going on there. What on earth happened? And I'll concede my screen share crashed for a moment, and I look back and all of a sudden we see 8 cars into the air, and well, this series does often deliver some spectacular crashes. So here's the first one. Here's what happened with Luke Mitchell to put him down the order at the start, and this has probably been just about, as he's made a little bit of a mistake on the weird camber of the bus stop chicane, that's been just about the worst couple of laps of his career, I suspect, and not a great deal of it was his fault. Here we go then, down into Lake Cum.
Yeah, we're going to see it now. This is, unfortunately, this is Koivunen with some sort of screen freeze or some sort of problem, and he just acted like a ramp for all the cars behind, just sort of floating in the middle of the track, and connection issues or some sort of game issues for Koivunen has caused a lot of drama at the back of the field there. 5 or 6 cars at least involved in that, and one of those being our championship leader Luke Mitchell, who has no wings at all.
That would be a case in the real world where you'd red flag that race immediately and get everything cleared up. Thankfully, we don't have that here, but well, there's going to be some questions raised after this race, certainly from the stewards. Here's Stephen Lexo trying to get back at Jack Mayer. He didn't particularly have base straight line speed, but he's got the DRS on this occasion, so it should be a fairly regulation move from Stephen Lexo. Jack Mayer tucks into the slipstream as we expect. Lexo is through into 2nd position, but the question is for how long. They're probably going to be jockeying and ping-ponging around for that position all day long. Maxime Bilou gets overtaken, and there's a mistake, and who's that? Is that Massimiliano Riboli? I think it is, who's down into almost 10th position, but he managed to just about hold on.
Yeah, Beaulieu was very racy there as Patterson going on the inside here and on Contiguris and makes that move stick. Very aggressive there from Patterson, but he does get through side-by-side contact absolutely fine. And he makes his way into P11. Got a replay coming up here of Riboli. And he was... okay, so he span on the inside then of... that looks like...
Oh, he was tapped.
Yeah, it looks like Jack Nicholls on the outside of him. That was very tight from Nicholls there on the outside. But Nicholls P6 at the moment. Riboli unfortunately suffered and is back down in P9. So some ground to be made up for him.
See Sherry Van Bussel hinting a podium here, which you did call that he was going to have a good day and make up a few points, and it looks like, well, with Luke Mitchell's misfortunes, he might be. He's losing a little bit of touch with Jack Mayer ahead, though wouldn't be unheard of for these two. Is Alex Lowe trying to make a move on Jack Nicholls. Down the inside goes Alex Lowe, and he makes the move, Alex Lowe, and he gets up into 6th position in the number 88. Guys, Craig Patterson, as you said, jumping down from the upper tip, and now trying to make a move down into La Source. He hasn't got the DRS, but he's got a great deal of straight line speed to try and make a move into the top 10 as he got it down into La Source, and it's so tight into there. It looks like he hasn't, but they're going to be side by side heading through Eau Rouge here. Someone surely is going to have to back out, and I have to feel that perhaps they won't. As down into Eau Rouge, are they going to keep it side by side through there?
Little bit of contact on the apex there as we come through Radion, but Patterson does make that stick, but he's going to be vulnerable now. He does not have DRS, and all 3 cars behind him will, and it's whether they'll all manage to power past him. 3 wide, 4 wide almost as we head into Lake Coombe, and Patterson does have to back out, and he is going to lose those 2 positions to Hermans in front of him, and Beaulieu as well getting by. I have to learn how to pronounce his name. But they both managed to get through on Patterson and up into 10th and 11th respectively. Jack Mayer had a run on Lexo, but wasn't able to make that move stick. So Lexo still in 2nd position, and it is a red Ben 1-2 as we stand.
And the 5 points will be quite categorically taken by Ruben Machete here. And the important thing is Luke Mitchell down in 27th position, 95 seconds off of the leader. He's not going to be able to get himself into reverse grid contention at all. Here is Luke Mitchell. So he's going to be starting for the back as Jack Nicholls has made a mistake, and Jack Nicholls is into the wall and he's struggling to get it back going again. Here is Jack, and I just wonder what happened. Is he stuck on something? But let's see what the mistake was from Jack Nicholls heading out of Pouon. The mistake wasn't at Pouon, I think it was just out of here. He uses a lot of curb on the entry, and I think it was that curb on the entry actually that's upset the car for Jack Nicholls there. And as he got back onto the track, it was a good save initially, but then just was destined for the walls. So a bit of an unfortunate moment for Jack Nicholls.
He turned in away from the rubbered in line. You can see it on the track. It's so important to stay on that line as much as you possibly can. And Jack was just outside it on the grey part of the track. Talk about it in IndyCar, and if you're not on that rubbered line, you can lose grip and you can go sideways like he did. And then, of course, when he rejoined the track, he had a little bit too much throttle on, spanned the back end up. So Jack down in 23rd, but Scott Mitchell, by the way, up into 15th place, up 16 from the back of the grid from a pit lane start. So he's kept his nose clean and is doing very well, as Jack Mayer is now making a move on Lexo into Lake Coombe. He had a great slipstream down the straight, down the Kemmel straight, and he is in P2 now. And Macheda can be caught from there if they work together.
I don't think they want to work together. Oh, here's a 3-wide battle, and Maxime Bilou is through. And Kenny Singleton, I think, was getting his elbows out there. Was it Singleton? No, it was Jarno Hermans getting his elbows out up into 11th position. They started, I think, in the lower reaches of the grid, actually, the 2 VMS Sun Edits car. So to be up into 11th position, fairly impressive. Dan Hayek is in 13th, just at the rear of this battle, trying to look forward and make a move on Craig Patterson if he can. Pouon isn't probably the best place to do it at the moment. He's going to think about it into Pouon and then quickly tuck back in. It's like that with the brakes through there.
Dirty air is okay in these cars. Yes, he did have to get on the brakes because he was so close to Patterson's rear. It's not too bad in these cars, the dirty air, but it is still there. And you can't be that close into a fast corner like Pouon and still stick the throttle like you normally would. You will just run wide. So Hayek waiting now for the run towards Blanchimont, hope to slipstream up into the bus stop chicane. They've got to be a bit careful with track limits on the exit of Speakers Corner. I didn't know it was called Speakers. I thought it was called X, but that's a...
Well, it is, but it used to be called Speakers.
Right, okay, there we go. So on that corner, there is a track limit violation there on the exits. They've got to be careful they don't do that too many times, as Contador's looking for a way through. He tries to do the switchback, but no way through there. He didn't really have an overlap or even the momentum to do that. But he is in P10. It's roughly where he started, so doing a pretty good job there. But look at the gap to the leader. 20 seconds already. Macheda is running away with this thing. 3.6 seconds in the lead. And there's not much the Mayor or Lexo can do about him.
There's not much they can do about it, and Lexo is going to be trying to hold up Jack Mayer as much as they can. The team tactics, we know Lexo, he's going to make the move now again with the DRS, and this will be again a pretty easy move. There won't be any fight back from Jack Mayer. We know Stephen Lexo, he said all season long, I don't care about the Drivers' Championship, as we see Sir Tyrus. Oh, Sir Tyrus has made contact as he's tried to pull out for the DRS, and that, I'm afraid, is quite a huge accident.
It's almost
it's
almost like Beaulieu went late on the straight, and Contador's had already gone to the left-hand side of him, and contact was made to Beaulieu in the wall, and Contador's does continue, so that will have to be a pit stop, unfortunately. And Hermans has also lost his front wing further back in the pack. Didn't see what happened to him as Hayek pursues Craig Patterson, who's having a decent race here up into P10.
As we see the replay of what did happen, and it, oh dear, I apologise, we're just trying to get it up for you properly. Got to rewind the tape manually. As we see here, Sir Tyrus on board with Sir Tyrus. He went one way, and then he just, as he was trying to go the other way, I think just slightly misjudged the speed he had over Maxime. And it's one of those where I think Maxime would actually quite like to have lost his front wing as well, because the aero balance when still having a front wing there is going to, well, you're going to see the results here. Whereas if he'd lost his front wing, a little bit like Luke Mitchell earlier, it would have been fairly drivable for him. But I'm afraid that's
pretty poor. Yeah, that's pretty poor. Hermans had did absolutely nothing wrong there. If you've got no rear wing, you can feel it immediately, and he should have stayed well out of the way and slowed right down there. And unfortunately has taken another driver with him now. So Scott Mitchell making a move up into P12 now in the bus stop chicane. He's making great progress. Other Mitchell. That one's the Luke Mitchell, but Scott Mitchell now in P12 has made up loads of positions in this race, looking strong for potentially getting himself in with a shout of that reverse grid, actually. So watch out for him in race 2. Showing really good pace. Mayer's on the back of Lexo as well as they head into Les Combes. Don't know if he's going to be close enough on this lap. He's going to leave it late. He's braking on the rubber. He's not going to hang it around the outside there. There's no room at all. As we saw with Hamilton and Rosberg back in 2014, you cannot do that unless you are fully alongside. So Mayer thinking about the race, thinking about the championship, sitting there in P3. He knows Mitchell's a long way down the field. And Tisano here making a move on the inside. Is he going to make that one stick? And he does not. Mitchell holds it around the outside. Great defending there from Scott. But he's up to 12th. But Mayer thinking about the championship, thinking about the long game. And he should be happy with P3. He's got a big gap to Van Bussel behind. So potentially looking to settle into that position now.
We'd have had to wait since Australia, since a Scott Mitchell victory, and since Canada for a Scott Mitchell podium. I'm sorry, I apologise, since Great Britain, as he got a second in race 1 there. So if he is to get reverse grid pole and put it in a position to win, then it would be his first win, of course, since Australia. So looking very good at the moment is Scott Mitchell, mainly for race 2, but doing well in race 1. Also, Jack Mayer trying to get back at Stephen Lexo. He knows that Stephen Lexo is a bit of a wise old owl, I guess, trying to just hold him up to, hope he can keep his teammate in the lead. And it's working for him quite well at the moment. 3 seconds, Stephen Lexo, Ruben Machete has of a gap of Scott Mitchell. Now, is he going to go for a move around the outside into Blanchimont? I think he's going to try it. He just about can't find the grip on the outside there, but down into the bus stop chicane. This should be a fairly reasonable move for Scott Mitchell to make. Is he just able to get ahead? I think, oh no, he spun! And he's just about kept the car going, but Scott Mitchell there for a moment had the move and was just spun around, and now he's trying to make the move from P11 once again around the outside into Lasource. Is he just going to be able to hold it, or is there some damage for Scott Mitchell? He's going for a switchback, can't quite find the grip, and it's not going to be for Scott Mitchell. Jack Mayer now trying to get back at Stephen Lexo once again, not close enough on this occasion. Lexo's holding on firm and doing a great job for his teammate as well. Alex Laho trying to make a move into 5th position. He is able to do so around the outside at Laycom. And Mikhail Tuamala just driving in 6th. Here's Scott Mitchell trying to make a move for 11th position. Onto the grass goes the VMS Sunadis car of Dan Hutt, and Scott Mitchell all the way through. Surely, as there's more cars all strewn across the road, is Mitchell able to get into 11th position? He is just about. I think they're all over the road and pushing and barging through. Scott Mitchell does get into 11th position, and then just behind him is Dan Hayek with Tazano in 13th, and Dan Hutt just behind this battle in 14th. He was all the way onto the grass for a moment there.
Yeah, that was a big hip and shoulders there from Scott. Getting his elbows out in Lecombe, right around the outside and claiming the apex of the left. Tizano had nowhere to go, and then Mitchell just sort of eased his wheel wide, make sure he definitely took that position. And he is making progress. He's looking for that reverse grid, and he's up in P11 now, and doing a great job actually so far to get all the way up in that position. But Laho breezed past Tuamala and has gapped him already as well. So Laho showing a decent pace actually as we head towards the final few laps here, and potentially looking to close in on Van Bussel as well. So so great job from him to make that progress. And Jack Mayer, I don't know if he's got the pace actually to get by Lexo. He's had a couple of looks now the last couple of laps, and every time I see him, he's just a little bit squirrely on the exit of corners. I don't know if he's got the rear tyres to be able to do it.
As we said, a very long circuit, this one. So probably going to be hammering the tyres a little bit in the late stages of this race. 3 laps to go, and all of a sudden Jack Mayer, thinking that his chance to get past Lexo and chase down the race lead has perhaps gone, and he is really far back. I don't think the DRS is going to be helping him a great deal here. Now Ruben Machete has to be focusing on just getting to the end. Here's Dan Hayek. He's going to tuck him behind through Eau Rouge. I don't think he's quite suicidal in this race, but he's going to have a right old opportunity down the Kemmel Straight. Dan Hutt is also going to have an opportunity to get past Tazano as Scott Mitchell flies down the road. Here's Dan Hutt. He can't quite find any room. He quickly switches to the outside to think about a move on Tazano around the outside, and has he got the room? I don't think quite. Dan Hutt, not really the space for a move around the outside. The space really being the limiting factor there, not necessarily momentum or anything like that. Here's Ali Pollock being overtaken for 17th position, and that's Lilian Hiret into 16th. Pollock for Valence, just a little bit outside of the points here. Not a bad run, however. But Ruben Machete still leads in this one, and he still leads quite comprehensively as they get to the back end of the circuit now to start the penultimate lap of the race. Ruben Machete, it hasn't quite been a 20-second victory, but it's been perhaps just as dominant, Toby.
Yes, it's been a very good drive. He's been monitoring it. I've been monitoring his pace. He's been making sure he's fast enough to stay outside the clutches of these guys, but at the same time putting in very impressive consistent laps, and he's in the low 6s. Someone who is very quick right now is Laho actually, and he is currently the fastest driver on track and gaining it quite quickly actually on Van Bussel. He's taken quite a bit of time out of him on this lap, so watch out for him. He may be able to get in the DRS, and then anything can happen from there. So 4th and 5th is not over yet. Tuamala as well behind them in a bit of no man's land, and Slabon here looking for a way by. He's currently in P18 looking for a way by Pollock, going up the inside, and he's locked the rears, and he is managed to get out of the way. Well done. Actually really good driving that.
Very good driving to stick it in reverse immediately and just get out of the way. You could see that coming though. He just, I think, went for a little bit of a dive bomb, didn't quite think that he was seen by the person he was trying to overtake, so jammed on the anchors, locked up the rears and got on through. Here's Dan Hutt on the penultimate lap of this race, trying to go around the outside of Tazano this time, and finally Dan Hutt gets the move up from 14th position, and that one should be fairly simple. He's just got a lap to hold off Tazano now, although he can try and get Hayek on the next lap. One thing I did want to point out about Laho is that he's shown pace to be in the top 5 all season long, but he's had pretty torrid luck. He's only been in the top 5 on a handful of occasions. His average finishing position is 10th, almost exactly 10.1 if you're going to the decimal places. So for Laho, it's really just about trying to get back into those top 5.
Yeah, he had that win. He had that win at Portimao. Portimao? Did he win at Portimao race 2? I believe so. And he's obviously had some tricky results since then. I remember him. He had that DNF at Monaco, didn't he? So he's he's got a point to prove, and he's doing a decent job there in P5. He will be in the mix for race 2, no doubt about that. Luke Mitchell setting very very fast lap times after he's fixed his car, but to no avail. He's down in P22, our championship leader. He's going to lose a stack of points here to Ruben Macheda, and he will be absolutely gutted that the race played out the way it did, will Luke, and he'll have to come back strong in race 2. Dan Hayek lining up a move here. Round the outside he goes and takes that position fairly easily.
And yes, Dan Hutt taking the position on Dan
Hutt, sorry. Dan Hutt taking the position. I trailed off there because I was looking at the Dan Hayek, and I meant Dan Hutt. There we go.
Yes, no, a mistake I've made virtually every race of the last year. But as we go towards the end of this race, then there might be one more sniff for Jack Mayer. I'm not too sure if we could get a look at that. He's well behind Stephen Lexo, so it looks like it's going to be line of stern at the top as we head towards the end of this race. Is there going to be a bit more drama down the Kemmel Straight? Dan Hayek trying to get back past Dan Hutt. I'm not too sure if he's going to be able to do it though. Dan Hutt driving very well in the last couple of laps. Is there going to be room on the outside for Dan Hayek? He's on that rubbery line and he's just chopped across the curb and he's spun around, and mostly of his own doing there, you would think, just chopped up onto the curb.
Never going to work. That way too much apex speed. He was better off just jumping to the left and cutting the corner altogether and letting Dan back through. Hayek there, he tried to make that move and just re-enter the track straight into the side of poor Dan. But Macheda here, this man coming up to Blanchimont on the final lap, has put in a great performance and shown that he is very much in with a shout of this championship. He's going to take the championship lead after this race, and his teammate Lexo in P2 as well.
To the tune of 20 points, he'll be taking the championship lead. And it hasn't been the greatest of gaps for Ruben Macheda, but he has driven really, really well and very dominantly in this race, and he takes the win in Spa in race 1. Just the performance he needed to get back into this championship fight properly. He was already in it, but to get back into the lead. Stephen Lexo finishes in second position, of course, to finish off the 1-2. He's back to regular programming. Jack Mayer finishes in third, continuing his consistent top 5 finishes, really, Jack Mayer. And I'm just looking at the standings to confirm that, and he's pretty consistently in the top 5, Jack Mayer. Scott Mitchell finishes in 11th from the pit lane. Yeah,
Scott's done really well to get to P11 there. Absolutely showing his class, and he had a P3 and a P4 last season here as well, so it's a track he's good at. Shame he missed qualifying. He will be ruining that, I would say. But yeah, fantastic drive from Ruben there. We didn't mention him too much, and that's what you want when you win a race, really. You want to be unnoticed and win by a country mile, and that is what happened today. He was really never challenged once he got the lead on lap 1 from Luke Mitchell down the Kemmel Straight, and yeah, really good result from him and Lexo. So well done to Red Ben today.
And so let's just run you through the provision at least before penalties and things, because there might be a few after this one. As we should wait for the overlay to kick into gear. It can take a moment to not a factor 2, but Ruben Macheda wins the race in dominant fashion, with Stephen Lexo finishing off the Red Ven 1-2, and a really big podium for Stephen Lexo as well after his torrid look of recent. Jack Mayer in third position, with Jerry Van Bussel in fourth. Alex Laho finishes in fifth, with Michael Tuamala in sixth position. Massimiliano Riboli finishes seventh, with Kenny Singleton in eighth for Team RNG. So Tyrus Contengoris finishes in ninth position, with Craig Patterson in 10th. Scott Mitchell finishes in 11th position from the pit lane. and then Dan Hutt finishes in 12th. Luca Tisano in 13th position, with Dan Hayek in 14th. Caitlin Penny 15th, with Lillian Hilliard finishing just outside the points in 16th. Ali Pollock finishing in 17th, with Dominic Slabben in 18th, and then Tom Ely in 19th, with Justin van der Smissen in 20th. 21st is Loic Mounier involved in that pretty dramatic crash on lap 3, with Luke Mitchell also being involved, the pole sitter, finishing a very lowly 22nd position. Scott Morris is the other Team RNG car in 23rd position, with Sava Pazanenko in 24th. The other ST Racing is Mihailo Vincentuvic in 25th position, with Jarno Hermans also failing to finish the race. Maxime Boulou, Jack Nichols, Orion Grisson and Florian Hasse, all the other drivers to fail to finish. Tommy Kuvian as well, I apologise. So let's take a break now as we go into the warm-up session, and we'll be back here from Spa in about 10 minutes' time. Welcome back to Spa for race 2 here in the Formula Sprint 2 Championship round 11, where Ruben Machete has currently got a 20-point advantage at the top of the table, and he'll be looking to extend that even more after a poor race 1 from Luke Mitchell. Luke Mitchell will be looking to really close that gap up a little bit and just get a few points from Ruben today, and there's a potential for that in this second race. But Toby, who joins me once again, what are your thoughts?
I think it's going to be an interesting one. Top 13 have been reversed, and that's going to put Scott Mitchell, who looked very quick in race 1, all the way up in P3, so watch out for him and Patterson, 3rd and 4th on the grid. I think those two definitely have a chance, but one to watch for me is Luke Mitchell, starting obviously after his poor race 1 in 22nd place. He's got a lot of work to do to try and get some points back, get his championship back on track.
As Tozano gets us underway for the formation lap, it was 13, which is the reverse grid pole position number, and you can see just behind there is Scott Mitchell, who was really quite pacey starting from the pit lane in race 1. Managed to get himself up to a decent position, and now he's got himself into a position where he can quite competitively go on to perhaps kick up some stones in this race as well, or whatever analogy you want. Anyway, Toby, the starting order.
Yeah, so Luca Dezzano, as a result of the top 13 being reversed for Valence, is P1 with Dan Hutt alongside him in P2. Scott Mitchell and Patterson, we were just talking about them, ones to watch for this race too. Soterios Contiguris in P5 with Kenny Singleton P6, Riboli P7 and Tuamala in P8. Those two both looking to make up positions as well. Alex Laho, very good pace alongside Jerry Van Bussel. Those two really could make forward progress as well. So I do like a big reverse grid. They can get a long way forwards on the grid. Jack Mayer and Lexo 11th and 12th. Macheda P13th. Dan Hayek, we saw him in the wars down in P14 with Caitlin Penny and Lillian Hilaire. Ali Pollock and Dominic Slabon 17th and 18th, with Tom Ely, who had that back of the grid penalty for race 1, made it up to 19th, having to pit for a front wing, with Justin van der Smissen P20. Loic Mounier 21st, with Luke Mitchell, former championship leader, looking to get his elbows out and make forward progress. Scott Morris in 23rd, with Seba Panasenko 24th. Jana Hermans and Maxime Bioli, I will get it right, with Jack Nichols and Grisson 27th and 28th. Florian Haase and Tommy Koivunen, who had that unfortunate screen freeze or lag spike, caused that pile up in race 1. He starts from the back of the grid.
As they just head around Blanchimont now. And this should be Luca Tozzano. Well, he should be really egging himself up for this one, as this is a huge opportunity to, I believe, get actually his first ever top 10 finish, let alone first ever win in at least this season. And that could be a pretty welcome to the championship. Only his second round. Of course, it's not going to be easy. This man and the teammate he's got alongside him, Stephen Lexo, will be looking to scythe his way through the field, as will Jack Mayer ahead of him. And of course, let's not rule out Luke Mitchell just a little bit further down the field as Florian Haase rounds out to believe we've lost one, so we might just have 29 on the grid this time, as Kuvin is in the pits apparently. He's going to start off in the pit lane. And here we go then, as everyone is ready, and a shake of the wheels from Tozzano as we wait for the lights here on the inside, looking to protect it down into La Source as we go to 4 and 5 red lights. And it is lights out and away we go for race 2 in Spa. It's a bit of a slow getaway actually from Scott Mitchell, a little bit further down in third position. Tozzano leads through La Source into turn 1. Scott Mitchell has managed to just cut his losses a little bit and stay in third position as everyone else storms down to Eau Rouge and Radion, and then down the Kemmel Straight. After that, there's perhaps a little bit of a move from Hutt into Eau Rouge. He's going to think against it in the end, and there's contact actually up Eau Rouge with one of the BMS cars, and someone spun at Eau Rouge. There could be a pretty colossal crash here, and I think there might have been Lexo involved in that. Lexo or Machete, one of the two. I couldn't quite tell. And oh dear, oh no, it's not. It's Luke Mitchell has had an incident. Oh, he's had an incident with one of the Red Fang cars. There's someone on his roof, and I think that might be Jack Nichols on his roof. And is that Machete?
Machete and Nichols' cars are stuck together. So Machete is down in P28 as a result of that. And to be honest, Machete put himself in that position on the straight. He made contact. He lost some ground over Eau Rouge. Was a bit wide. He was dodging a car. It was Contiguris, and then down the middle of the straight, and he had nowhere to go. Bounced left and right. And oh dear for him, that's a nightmare. Riboli in P5, we're watching him now. There's 2 wide behind him. It's chaos on the opening lap here at Spa.
Absolutely unbelievable. Luke Mitchell was involved as well, so a bit of a flashpoint, albeit accidental, between the two championship rivals. Jack Nichols is retired from the race. Luke Mitchell in 27th position, and then Ruben Machete in 28th. Now off air, Toby, you were telling me that if Ruben Machete and Luke Mitchell can just catch up to Ruben Machete, then he'll be in a good position ahead of this race. I don't think he quite anticipated that, however, as Massimiliano Riboli tries to go. Oh, he's made contact through Blanchimont with one of the Academy cars, and it's Jerry Van Bussel as they head now down into the bus stop for the first time, and it's absolute carnage throughout the entire first lap here at Spa.
Yeah, Mitchell, obviously now at the back of the field with no front wing, he'll have to box. He's had an absolute nightmare here at Spa. Looking at back, we've got Jack Mayer here looking on the inside of Tuamala, and he has made a good start. He's up to P8, and he's now going to be taking that position for P7 as well. And Mayer looking good, actually, to get Riboli as well. So don't count Mayer out, but at the front, Scott Mitchell's gone. And Dan Hutt in second place. He's struggling to stay within DRS range of him. So keep an eye out for Mitchell. I think he will accelerate away from the pack. But further back, that's where the drama's happening. Tizano P3 has been slipstreamed by Patterson. We've got Leho and Tumala, and then we've got 3 wide going on here. Tumala is on the inside, or he's on the outside, actually sweeps across. And Mayer now on the outside, no way through there. And he has to settle back into P8. But yeah, a lot of drama going on here. Lehu. Oh, sideways for Hillary, and there's going to be contact there, and he's lost his rear wing as well. Sorry, she's lost her rear wing as well. So Bowley is round. Oh, there's chaos further back. It always ends up like this in FS2. There's always some incidents towards the back of the pack, and unfortunately for Lillian, she's lost her rear wing there.
Yes, and well, it's actually it's a little bit comical at this stage, as it's not been particularly poor driving. It's just everyone just seems to be magnetised together. Here's the big one then. This is what we need to have a look at, and it was actually a tap, I think, from Tuomala on Sir Tyrus, and then Sir Tyrus spun round. I don't think he held the brakes there, did he, Sir Tyrus? But then as we ride on board with Ruben Machete, here's what happened to him. He was clipped by Sir Tyrus when he was trying to avoid him. He then spun, and as we go a little bit further down the straight, he was slow. And then Luke Mitchell was trying to make a move. He clipped Machete, and then Machete spat across the road, was flipped by the pirouetting Jack Nichols. That put Jack Nichols out the race, and of course put Ruben Machete into a rather sticky position. Here's the second one. And there was spin, and then just everyone merging together.
See, no, everyone's piled in there, and they haven't looked far enough forwards to see that one coming. That's not great driving. I don't know if the cars are just not appearing for them, but everyone's just sped into a stationary car there. But Machete has himself to blame. He put himself in the middle of the track very, very slow, and it was just seconds till disaster, really, as he was going in the middle of the straight, the middle of the Kemmel straight. Everyone 20 kph faster than him. Tizano side by side here. Look at Van Bussel. He is making great progress this race, up to P4 already. And he's not that far off the lead, actually. He's only 5 seconds or so off the lead, so he could still do something from here. Tizano looking to take that position. Mayer on the inside. He's going to think better of that. Riboli trying to get round the outside of him, but no way through there. So Mayer making good progress, but sort of got stuck here in P7th, P8th. He needs to get through these cars if he's going to score really decent points, but I guess he doesn't really have to, Tom, with his 2 championship rivals way back in the pack.
Is Jack Mayer actually could take the championship lead after this. I want to say, if he's able to get some decent points, he is 9 points off of the lead heading into the round here. I'm not too sure what it looks like after the race. Of course, he finished in 3rd, so he could, if he wins, take the championship lead. Maybe I'll take a moment to try and figure it out.
Do some maths.
Yes, do some maths when you go on a tangent or something, which I'm encouraging you to do, by the way.
I'm quite good at that. Jack Mayer is looking to slipstream himself into P6 behind Tuamala, but he's got to look backwards at the same time. Riboli's very, very close. Mayer, we did see have good straight line speed in race 1. Riboli not really gaining in the slipstream. He's getting a little closer, but if anything, Mayer's making good progress towards Tuamala, and he's got to run actually out of Blanchimont. Tuamala goes defensive. Mayer looking towards the outside, trying to break on that rubber. Not actually being able to make any kind of overlap stick. Tizano gets a bit squirrely out of the final chicane. Here's Leho. He has got a great run actually on Caitlin Penny. Takes that position quite easily from the downforce Skid Electric driver. But further forwards, here comes Mayer on the inside. That was quite late on the brakes. He made a bit of contact. and he does get the overlap done. He does make the move stick. Tumala's got a run though, uses a bit of slipstream. They're going to go side by side. Mayer should take this quite easily. He's got quite a big overlap as they head through the first part of Eau Rouge up to the top of the hill at Radion, and indeed he does stick there. Now we do have DRS now, so Mayer behind Tizano. He's got that DRS, opens the wing. Tumala's also got his DRS open, and Mayer looking to take 2 positions in one corner here. He's going up the inside. No, he's changed his mind, switches back to the outside into Lecoum, sweeps around the outside. He's got to stick the apex with the left hander, and he does it very, very well. Tizano dropping positions at the start, and Tumala looking to make his way through. Lexo from nowhere on the outside is looking to take P7 away from Tumala. They go side by side into the right hander. Lexo off the line on the dirty line, is not going to be able to get around the outside there. Thinks better of it, and Riboli on the curb there trying to get an exit into Puon, and he has got a bit of a run. Herman's out of the race, didn't see what happened to him. He's had some kind of incident. I don't know if you saw that, Tom. He's coming through Lecoum here.
I can tell you, however, that Jack Mayer would need to win, as Herman's just got squirrely all by himself, I'm afraid, and then straight into the wall. And but yes, I can tell you that Jack Mayer would need to win to take a 1-point lead in the championship. So, well, he knows what his equation is. He's not got a great deal of time to do it, however. So
I would say Scott Mitchell. Apart from Scott Mitchell, though, the guys in front of him he was quicker than in race 1, so he could easily take P2, make it very, very close. This is a fantastic battle behind him, though. Lexo in the mix there with Tizano. He's going to the outside. Tumala going to the outside, sorry, of Tizano. Lexo is in there. Tumala makes the position up. Tizano settles for 7th there. Riboli and Lexo, in fact, Riboli's taking a position from Lexo in that mayhem. And they've all got their DRS open, and
because I apologise, Toby, but Tumala there actually got squirrely. Here's a big dive from Stephen Lexo down into the source. It is not quite going to be. He's down in 9th position at the moment. He would have hoped to scythe his way through the field a little bit better than this, but there's a lot of fast drivers ahead of him. Tizano isn't doing too badly trying to secure his first top 10 finish of the season. But yes, he got squirrely, did Tumala, down into the chicane, and he did very well to hold on to it and make a move. But regardless, here is an incredible battle then. Massimiliano Riboli on the outside. He's going to have to try and switch the inside, find a little bit of room as Tizano goes around the outside of Tumala. Has he managed to just about get the car stopped? He has, but as Massimiliano Riboli managed to throw his hat into the ring. Here he goes around the outside of Tumala, just about finds a space with Stephen Lexo behind them all, trying to go into the hairpin. He's able to do it as Stephen Lexo through into 8th, Massimiliano Riboli into 7th, and Tizano into 7th.
Pretty impressive, clean driving there. They all managed to get through Lecoum without taking each other out and minimising contact. Very impressive.
Hugely impressive indeed. They head through Puon a little bit squirrely from Stephen Lexo as Tumala tries to make what he can of this situation, unable to do so as we head into sort of the second half of this race, as David Junt is saying in YouTube chat, around the outside, as well, around the outside seems to be the place to be at the moment, David. As Tumala still trying to keep on the back of Lexo, and in fact he's got his own problems with Kenny Singleton trying to make something of this, and well, I think it's up for grabs for just about anyone here. Scott Mitchell through all the chaos, by the way, as Lexo now. In fact, I apologise. Oh, what has happened there with Tizano? Really aggressive on Massimiliano Riboli, and I'm not too sure what's happened as Lexo goes, would you believe it, around the outside. Massimiliano Riboli tries to stick it out. He's made contacts, and they're all round. And they're all into the wall. Tizano's lost a rear wing. Tumala's round. He's still keeping the car relatively okay. Massimiliano Riboli hasn't got too much damage either. But what on earth happened there? Is they're still side by side?
Tell you what happened there. I put the commentator's curse on there. That wasn't clean at all. Tizano turned into Riboli there, caused that contact, and then Kenneth Singleton from absolutely nowhere dives in on Tumala and spins him round as well. They did sort of a pirouette in unison there, and yeah, a lot of ground lost and some damage as well. So not ideal.
No, absolutely not ideal at all. And I have to say, it's been quite interesting, this race, as Tumala gets through on Massimiliano Riboli into the top 10. And we've had Tizano's retired now, and that's a shame after he was looking good for his first top 10, even top 5 at one stage finish. Craig Patterson, by the way, has managed to, out of nowhere, get into the top 5 and be doing very, very well at the moment. Here's the move from Tuo Marler. I'm actually hearing in my ear that this is what we were supposed to be looking at, as we just couldn't quite get it. There's Massimiliano Riboli. Here's the first one, and he just maybe a little bit of, if this was an F1 game, side pod glitch there, or something similar to that, a similar style thing. And then I don't think Tazzano really saw him coming, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I think he had enough of an overlap there to be alongside. I think Tazzano turns in and causes that contact himself and takes himself out of the race, I think, in my opinion. So a bit of a shame for Tazzano. He was doing very, very well. And obviously he had that P1 on the grid, but little bit hot-headed there, I would say, into that first stop chicane from him and trying to hold on to the positions. He'd already pushed Riboli wide through the fast left-hander Blanchimont. So yeah, Tazzano out. We only have 20 runners left, and there's only one sort of championship contender left in this race in Jack Mayer. Both Macheda and Mitchell are out of the race, so they will not score any points.
Jerry Van Bussel tries to go down the inside for a second position and able to do so on Dan Hutt. Dan Hutt, by the way, driving absolutely superbly for VMS Dun Edits Racing. I do believe he may have been on the podium before in this season. He has in Bahrain. He was on the podium, but since then only a single top 5 finish. Here is an opportunity for him to make it a second one. That being said, he's got 2 rather angry people behind him trying to make moves. Jerry Van Bussel has got up into second, and now there's perhaps a move at the back for Patterson. He thinks against it in the end, just a little bit too far back. Here's Kenny Singleton up into 7th position, going rather to the right there, and I'm not too sure he needed to be quite that aggressive. His Tuo Marler is, I'm not too sure if that was for position. It was going Caitlin Penny, and it was for position. And Caitlin unable to really do much there. She's now on the back of Massimiliano Riboli, and I think she might be trying to send one down the inside for a moment. But I think, having seen the rest of this race, thought maybe that's not the greatest of ideas.
I'm just looking through the lap times, actually. Jack Mayer is the only person who's, apart from Van Bussel, who's done a 2:05. And his last lap was 2:06.0. Is 8 tenths quicker than Mitchell in P1. And he's only 3.6 back, or 3.5 now. So this race actually isn't done. If you look at Mayer's got a few positions to make up, but he's fastest man on track. And I think he is still within a shout. If he can get through this pack relatively quickly, Mitchell seems to have dropped off a little bit. He'll be in danger of DRS from Jerry Van Bussel, who, by the way, doing a fantastic job for GPVWC Academy team, coming up from the Academy series and given an opportunity to race, and he is showing what he can do.
Doing it quite well at the moment as well, Jerry Van Bussel. He's actually got a chance of winning this race. Scott Mitchell isn't actually going too far through into the sunset here. Van Bussel has had a podium before, last time out at the Hungaroring. Other than that, it's been a pretty unremarkable season, only at the 2 rounds, this being his 3rd. 6th and 3rd at the Hungaroring, 21st and 17th in Great Britain. So this would be his best finish of the season.
Well,
and
he can still get P1. He's going to be within DRS, or very, very close to DRS here. And the rear
just
wing
about in
open.
DRS.
Yeah, so here we go.
Scott Mitchell probably a little bit unsighted here. He would have been cruising along, thought he was going off into the sunset, and all of a sudden Jerry Van Bussel is here trying what he can. Alex Laho now trying to make a move for 7th position. He's doing it quite nicely finally for Alex Laho, and you have to feel quite happy for him on this note. He's able to get a good race in this back end of the season, where he's got 2 good top 10 finishes under his belt. The last time that happened was in Canada. It's been a very rocky season for Alex Laho, despite, I'd argue, being one of the drivers who's been driving the better of the grid. Is well wide, actually, from Jerry Van Bussel for a moment. Still trying to hound Scott Mitchell, and perhaps being careful, well, not very careful going wide, but needing to not overdrive here as Scott Mitchell goes very deep. And all of a sudden, there is a slight opportunity here for Jerry Van Bussel to get the race win.
Well, this is anyone's. Anyone in the top 5 right now. They are clear of the rest of the pack. They're all within DRS of each other. You remember that gap I said 3.6 a lap ago for Jack Mayer? It's 2.5 now. So can't count him out in P5. He has the experience and he has the pace, and is the champion, or could be the championship leader if he wins this race as well. So he's got that. What is Van Bussel doing? Swirling down the sort of swinging his steering wheel left and right down the straight, perhaps trying to get some heat into the front. But he is very, very close to Scott Mitchell now, and I don't know if Scott has the tyres, to be honest. His lap time is very, very slow. His sector time is very slow, and he's going to have to go defensive here into turn 1 if he doesn't want to be overtaken by Van Bussel, who goes by easily.
As he just ruined the tyre, Scott Mitchell. He'll certainly try again, but oh, he's almost spun. And that's going to allow Dan Hutt through into second position. And now it is absolutely anybody's game. Patterson is going to surely swallow up Scott Mitchell here. Through Eau Rouge looks a little bit nervy, and the car just not having the best of body languages. That being said, he's going to try and make some form of a counter-attack here. Everyone's going to have DRS and everyone. Jack May is going to be involved as well. It's going to be 3 wide as they head down into Le Com. And Jack Mayer not quite having the pace for that, and not quite having the room either. Here goes Dan Hutt down the inside. Scott Mitchell trying to stick it out around the outside. Not able to, 3 of them spin. Jack Mayer's round as well. And there's going to be a 3rd one. Stephen Lexo into the wall. And that just sums up Stephen Lexo's season, I'm afraid. That just sums up Stephen Lexo's season. Scott Mitchell in 3rd, Dan Hutt in 2nd, Jerry Van Bussel sailing on into the sunset. These two are still battling, and a race that started with absolute controversy and mayhem is going to end with absolute bedlam.
Well, this is chaos as we go into Les Combes here. Like, watch Jack Mayer round the outside. You think he's okay here, and then if you watch, he just doesn't get to the inside of the corner enough, and as a result, he gets into the side of Patterson, and poor Patterson, no rear wing, and Lexo had nowhere to go. He comes across this incident and just sort of literally nothing he can do. The cars are everywhere, and he spins by himself, puts it in the wall. So he has no front wing. So Red Ven, again, can have a very poor round. No one wants to win this championship, it seems. But Jack Mayer somehow gets away with both his front and rear wing intact, sits in P4. But the big winner from that, Jerry Van Bussel, he is 3.2 in the lead of Dan Hutt. And, well, streaking away with just 2 laps left after this.
Absolutely unbelievable. Out of nowhere, Jerry Van Bussel. Scott Mitchell had it absolutely this race as Saver Pasanenko now tries to make a move for 8th position. Scott Mitchell absolutely flying through in the race, and then we think just used a little bit too much of his tyres. There's a potentially maybe tapped a wall somewhere though at Spa. That's quite an achievement when you're nowhere near anyone. But Scott, he's still going to get a podium in fairness to Scott Mitchell, and I'm sure that he'll take some solace in that, and in fact he's going to have a go at Dan Hutt here as well. Perhaps a little bit more personal than on the previous occasion from Scott Mitchell as he tries to go for this one. Then around the outside down into Les Combes. This time hopefully a little bit more successful for Scott Mitchell than on the previous occasion. He still has a little bit of tyre life hanging on in there, and he's got 2nd position for his troubles as well. Michael Turamala trying to get past Massimiliano Riboli, who somehow these two in 7th and 8th still. And Turamala is through. Here's a move of Caitlin Penny into the top 10. She tries to send one down the inside of Saver Pasanenko, unable to do so. Has to stay 10th. But Sotyrus, who was actually the cause, accidentally or not, of that first lap incident, is all of a sudden in 11th.
Yeah, and he's recovered quite well actually as it goes. And Tom Ely as well, P14 from pretty much the back of the grid as well. He's made some positions. He's going to score some points. Lexo, I don't know if has he got into the pit lane? Presumably he's had to box for that front wing, so he will still score some points actually for Red Van. So not the absolute end of the world, but yeah, as you say, he's been very unlucky this season. Van Bussel's had a very poor first sector on this lap, quite a long way off what he can do, and Mitchell's taken another 2 tenths out of him in the 2nd sector, so he's taken 7 tenths out of him on this lap. So I don't know if he'll have enough time, Scott, but still very, very quick in comparison to Jerry. Here comes Riboli on the back of Tuamala, and Tuamala doesn't quite have the straight line speed perhaps that Riboli has, and Riboli looking round the outside of Blanchimont. That would be a brave move. I certainly wouldn't be there. Well, what are we watching here?
I'm not too sure.
It looks like Tuamala was trying to let him through and Riboli didn't want to. Is that slipstream down Eau Rouge? Is that what that's about?
And oh dear, it's I'm afraid just one of those races where absolutely it seems to be cursed by the devil. This race, and something's going on somewhere, and it doesn't seem to be that there's been particularly too much stupid driving either. Just people seem to be incident filled at Spa, and well, it's an easy track, and I suppose the 30 cars barreling down into Eau Rouge, it's pretty easy. David Junt refers to it as DRS chess. But Massimiliano Riboli with a final opportunity here. And Scott Mitchell actually and Dan Hutt are having a bit of a battle, I believe, at the front. Scott Mitchell is in third still. And he's
back in third, isn't he? Dan Hutt, he had overtaken Hutt, so Hutt had got back through there into Les Combes. So Hutt taking second off Scott Mitchell. Jack Mayer a long way back, so nothing he can do about that. Lexo still out there with no front wing then. He did not box. That was interesting.
As Mitchell still trying what he can, unable to at the moment. But I just want to take a moment to appreciate Jerry Van Bussel. This is his 5th ever race in GPVWC, from my understanding. Well, technically 6th, as it will be the rounds. But his 6th race in the career ladder in his entire career is Mitchell onto the gravel, and Mitchell has made a huge mistake, and this might just be Jack Mayer having a podium here out of absolutely nowhere. Has Mitchell managed to hold? Has Mitchell managed to hold the podium? I'm not too sure. Mayer's going to get him for certain. Down before Blanchimont, Mayer gets into third, so Jerry Van Bussel will be crossing the line in a moment. His 6th ever race in the career ladder, 25 points up until this point, only 2 points finishes, and Jerry Van Bussel comes home to take his first ever victory in his maiden season, as Alex Lahone now around the outside of Scott Mitchell for 4th position. Mitchell's round again, and he's going to lose out on 5th almost certainly here. It's Kenny Singleton sends one down the inside. It might be a photo finish here. Mitchell might just have him, and Mitchell does eventually get him, but that was absolutely unbelievable.
Well, I certainly wouldn't have put those three on the podium in that order at the start of the race, but a great result for those three. Lexo, I don't believe pitted at all for a front wing change, so I think he's going to struggle to hold on to that 12th place. I don't believe that's in the rules. Koivunen coming through for 13th, but yeah, I did not have money on Van Bussel for that one. It was Scott Mitchell all the way for me, and he just ran out of tyres, I think. Must have just run out of rear tyres. Everyone swallowed them up, and of course, we had that incident in the wall that took poor Craig Patterson out of the race. Loic Mounier coming through now for the final points position. But what a race that was. I've thoroughly enjoyed commentating on FS2 tonight at Spa. Absolutely my favourite track, and it's produced all sorts of drama.
I'm a bit speechless, as we'll quickly go through the results, at least the provisional results. I think there's going to be a whole heap load, as those the most stylish donuts I think I've ever seen in a racetrack. And he's going again, and oh dear.
Not so stylish.
Not so stylish. The first one was okay. Here are the race results, and very provisional, because I imagine there's going to be a very busy night ahead for the stewards. Jerry Van Bussel wins for the first time ever in the career ladder. I have checked his little biography on the GPVWC website, so if that isn't correct, then I might have been slightly stiff with my big build-up, but that's not the point. It's, as far as we know, his first ever win in the career ladder. Dan Hutt finishes in 2nd position for VMS Sun Edits Racing, only his 2nd podium of the season. Jack Mayer finishes in 3rd and does a great deal of actually cutting down that gap to the front of the table. Alex Lahone finishes in 4th position, finally a double top 5 finish for him. Scott Mitchell finishes in 5th for Kings Racing after leading the majority of the race. Kenny Singleton finishes in 6th, and Macau Turamalo in 7th, and Massimiliano Riboli in 8th, Saver Pasanenko in 9th, Tyrus Cognitoris in 10th. Caitlin Penny finishes in 11th, with Stephen Lexo finishing in 12th, but heavily provisional on that one as he didn't pit for his front wing damage. Tommy Kuvian finishes in 13th, with Tom Ely in 14th. Loic Mounier gets some points for Spark Racing Team in 15th, with Justin van der Smissen in 16th. Scott Morris finishes 17th, Florian Hasse in 18th, and then Ali Pollip in 19th. Craig Patterson, the first of the DNFs, then Luca Tizzano, Jarno Hermans, Dominic Slabben, Maxime Bilou, Orion Grisson, Lillian Hilliard, Ruben Machete, Luke Mitchell, Dan Hayek, and Jack Nichols, all being the rest of the DNFs. So we're going to quickly drag in the 2 Red Ven Racing drivers. As I apologise, guys, I've just got to quickly run through the calendar. We'll be here at Italy in 2 weeks. That's not 2 weeks' time. Is there a summer break?
Four
I
weeks.
wasn't aware.
It's the summer break. So
oh, right, lovely. I thought we had a spring break instead of a summer break. But well, the more you know. There you go, summer break. So 4 weeks' time at the end of August is going to be the Italian Grand Prix. But well, Stephen and Reuven, I think we'll start our first question on the first race because Reuven, you got the championship lead back and you had a dominant victory and then a 1-2 for the team as well. It must be pretty exciting.
Yes, it's very good. So was really enjoyable. So and also to Steven, he assisted my win, and really thanks for that. But yeah, I don't know what to say about race 2, but I just got completely killed.
Yeah, Reuven, race 2 was obviously very tricky out of Eau Rouge. You did very well to dodge a spinning car, but then of course you were much slower down the main straight. Do you think there was anything you could do in that, or is it just one of those racing incidents?
I don't know. Also, from the driver on board, I only saw that Luke Mitchell just completely moved over on me, and yeah, that's why I spun into the wall. But I need to see the replay who is bugging, but I don't know.
And well, Stephen, yourself in the second race, it looked like it was going pretty well, but then just caught up in an incident that really wasn't your own incident.
Well, yeah, I think Patterson and Mayer had an incident and they were rolling across the track. And when I was avoiding them, suddenly my rears just locked. And yeah, my front wing was gone, I think, for the 11th time this season or 12th time. So yeah, bad luck in 11 out of 12 races. So traditions, I would say. But yeah, I'm still happy. I mean, I think in race 1, over the whole race, I had the best pace, fighting off Jack. He was in the DRS and was able to stay in there because of the slipstream and the DRS. But I was able to get him off and secure the first 1-2 for the team, which is quite a good moment for us because it's the first one.
Yeah, it's always nice. It's always nice to get 1-2. Sorry, Tom. It's always nice to get 1-2. Just wondering if there was team orders on that first straight, because it looked like to me Reuven got through quite easily coming into Les Combes. Did you just sort of back off a little, make sure he could get by for the championship, or was that just because he had a run on you?
Basically, it was already planned that he was going through, so I was able to. We knew that Luke Mitchell had he a little downforce, so I was able to get him into Rouge and Radion, and then I completely drove to the right to give Reuven the slipstream, and then I eased off at the end of the straight to ensure that Reuven gets the lead.
And well, thank you very much for joining us, you two, and hopefully you can get the 2 races on your side next time out.
Well, we're still happy because Alpha Sierra didn't really score, so we should have the lead in the constructors pack, which is, as you know, the most important thing for us.
Yeah.
So in race 1, we outscored them massively. So
positives to take away, at least. Well, I suppose a big positive in race 1 as a whole.
Yep.
Thank you very much. That was Reuven Machete and Stephen Lexo. Next, we'll speak to someone who always has an interview and has actually my teammate for a Le Mans race throughout the last couple of weeks, Alex. And finally, a consistent 2 finishes in the top 5. Must be pretty happy.
Yeah, I didn't race in Hungary because of the race ban, but not happy with the pace on the first race and quali. I changed a little setting on the setup and that messed up my entire quali. The car just didn't turn on the rear part of the car, so quite annoyed. I tried to fix that in race 2, which worked a little bit better, but not how I would have wanted. Still a few tenths off the guys like Reuven, Steven, and whatnot.
Alexis Toby, I think you had probably your most consistent round I've watched you do this season, though, despite being, as you say, a little bit disappointed to be slightly off the pace. Do you feel you can challenge, for the rest of the season, maybe get another wing at some point this season?
Yeah, definitely the objective. For now, the objective is to beat Mikhail in the standings. He's had the most I think he's had the most consistent season. Not sure. I would have checked the standings, but he didn't have many incidents, and the points accumulated and accumulated, despite finishing between P5 and P10 every time. So he's well ahead of me now, and that's going to be my objective for the season, first season, and have a race win as well.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for joining us, Alex, and hopefully you can push for the podium next time out.
Thank you, Tom, and Toby. Good commentary today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Always flattering, Alex Laho. Well, next speak to Dan Hutt, and Dan.
Hey, how are you doing?
Great, thank you. Better after watching that race too from yourself. You must be pretty happy with the podium.
Yeah, I'm very happy coming back off my 2-week holiday in Spain yesterday. Yeah, with no practice and getting P2, it's amazing. With a great battle with Scott and Jerry and whoever else was in there. Yeah, it's awesome.
I think you drove very well in both races, Dan. But obviously Hayek got into the side of you in race 1. You were involved in a couple of incidents here and there. I think you've developed really well since joining from the GPVWC Academy. Do you think it's not too long until you get sort of a podium and a race win, obviously a race win under your belt now that you've had a podium?
Well, if Jerry wasn't there today, then maybe, but there are a lot of high quality drivers here in FS2 this year, and it's a great grid. It's awesome racing against these guys, and they're pushing each other and me also to improve ourselves. And it would be great to get a race win, but I think naturally on my own pace, I'm just not able to make that step yet. But with a bit of luck and maybe some things happening in the race, yeah, of course, it's I maybe can make it happen. I want to, of course, but yeah, we'll see. It's a really tough grid. I'm not pushing myself that much in GPV, but yeah, it would be awesome to get a race victory once, and I think I can maybe do it if the situations are, or the current situation is right. So.
Thank you very much for joining us, Dan, and hopefully you can push on for that race win in the next couple of rounds.
Thank you.
And to round out the interviews for the day, we're going to speak to Jack Mayer. And Jack had a chance to take the championship lead with a race win in race 2, but wasn't quite to be in the end.
I've not done the maths yet. It must be close if we haven't already taken it, because I know Reuven and Luke. Well, Luke was out in race 1 and didn't score race 2, and I know Reuven was out race 2. So I've not done the maths myself, but I know it must be close if we haven't already taken it. But yeah, once Reuven and Luke were out in race 2, it was just a matter of bringing it home. And we've had too many issues this year, but even when doing that, we still found ourselves in an incident. And me and Craig, we've already spoken, but all's done on that end. But bringing it home P3 on the last lap with Scott in the wall, I think I'm still happy with the points we brought.
Yes,
yeah,
and,
you're right. You're right.
also...
You're right in the mix. Sorry, Tom. You're right in the mix, though, Jack. Heading into the last sort of 5 rounds of the season, obviously the summer break now. I think you drove very well these 2 races. Actually, very calm. Thought about the championship. Didn't get too involved with Lexo in race 1. So well done. What do you think you can do from here? Do you think you can still push for the title? Obviously, that's the plan, but Reuven looked very fast in race 1. Is there something you can do about him?
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, I think the last 2 races we've had the pace. I know Reuven missed the last race, but all season, myself, Stephen, Reuven and Luke, we've pretty much been at each other's necks from race 1, and there's no reason why I'm not pushing for the title. I mean, I led the championship after Melbourne before we had a penalty, and I led the championship after Monaco before I had a penalty. And like I say, I don't know what the maths are right now, but I'm pretty sure we're at least equal on the championship. But going forward, it's from the first quarter of the season. I was getting into too many incidents for my liking, and I will take responsibility, like whether it was accidents or whether it was protests and penalties. I've lost well over 50 points to my own mistakes this season, which I'm completely accountable for. Knowing that in the first quarter, just keeping out of these incidents is what I think, as today, just surviving the race could be what determines the championship between the 3-4 of us. So yeah, going forward after the break, it's still, you've got to be aggressive, you've got to make up the points, but you need to bring it home to be in the points to begin with, yeah.
And I can tell you, Jack, actually, from my quick maths that I did on the flies, there might be some mistakes. If you had won, you'd have taken the championship lead by a point, but you're certainly very close there. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
That was Jack Mayer of TOP Esports, and that rounds out the last interviews of the evening. And Toby, just final thoughts on what we've seen this evening?
Another interesting round from FS2. It's always good fun to watch. Little bit too much contact at the back end of the field. Some of it caused by some game issues, some of it caused by some interesting driving, but nevertheless, the competition at the front is always fantastic, and certainly sets us up for the next 3 events in FS2, SLL and SL. I have a question for you as well, Tom. You've been asking me questions all night. Who do you think, if you were to right now guess who's going to be at the top of the drivers' standings at the end of the season, who would you put at P1?
You know, I knew there was something up when Toby messaged me saying, please ask me about the final round, about the next round. I knew there was something coming. But yes, Reuven Machete, I think, is going to win this championship. They just seem, Red Ven, to always be there, and they've got the 2 drivers consistently up there at the top. Alpha Sierra don't seem to... I mean, Massimiliano Ribley is absolutely no slouch. Of course, he's a very talented driver. However, he's not quite consistently up in the sort of top 3 that Stephen Lexo and Reuven Machete are. So I think the sort of 2-pronged attack is going to help them in both championships.
Fair enough. I mean, I would echo those thoughts. I think Red Ven are the most teamy team in this championship, if you like. The fact that they were discussing that was always the plan, to let Machete through into Lacoum. I think they've got a good thing going there, and I think they do have an edge, if you like. So be interesting to see what happens. But I've certainly enjoyed myself tonight, and thank you very much, Tom and Szymon, for having me along.
Thank you very much as well, and thank you to everyone who watched this evening too. It's been a chaotic night of racing action, certainly one that was very entertaining. And from me, Tom Dillon, Toby Davis as well, and Szymon Frelik on the cameras, we'd like to thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you all later. Good night.